Futures trading involves risk and is not suitable for all investors. Content provided in this segment is meant for educational purposes and is not a solicitation to buy or sell commodities.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Tech Talk. I am Cody. He is Andy. It is June 18th. For reference, just about 2:30 Central Time, 3:30 Eastern Time.
What about Pacific Time? What time is it on the West Coast?
Let's see. What would it be? Noon? Noon 30? 12:30?
1, isn't it 1:30 there? No, you're right. 12:30. I don't know.
So they're 3 hours behind me.
I get all these time zones. I get mixed up.
I know. We just need to make one time zone. Just call it a career. Let's be done with it. Kind of like time or daylight savings time. Done with that.
Get rid of that. What if we were all in like the metric, like just one like metric system or something like that? Like Here's one for you. What if everybody drove on the same side of the road across the whole world?
We're saving too many of the world's problems is what the problem is right now.
Do you think you could drive on the left side of the road? Yeah.
Would you drive on the left side with the steering wheel on the right, though, like everyone else does? Or would you drive? You'd have to, right? Because the way that everyone in the world drives is you're driving closest to traffic, right? So we drive on the right-hand side of the road, on the left side of the car, closest to traffic. On the other side of the world, same thing, opposite, but you're on the right side.
So would you drive your car on the left side of the road?
Yeah. I'd change. I think we should keep it our way. I think we should go to the metric system, though. I think I'm sick of all these tools and measurements being in, you got standard, you got metric, all this other garbage.
It's all the stuff going on. Daylight savings, left side of the road, right side of the road. Who knows what's going on anymore? I'll tell you what is going to be a standard, though. Red and green charts. We're going to keep it that way. I did see one. I saw something in, I think it was Australia. They choose white and black as like their bars. White is like an open, it's like a green candle, right? Because it's like the bar's full of air and it's rising. Whereas like a black candle is like full of lead.
So that's the lower.
Falling. That's not very festive. Red and green. I mean, it's colorful. You get some.
I like ours a lot better.
Okay, good. Well,
speaking of red and green charts, first one of the day.
Speaking of red and green, metric system, spot cheese. What do you think here, boss? This is a weekly. This is 2 days. This bar is 2 days into the week.
2 days. I am afraid it's forming an M formation, like we had talked about last time. The possibility of that happening, but to your point, I don't see us going down to $1.75 to fill that gap right now.
You don't think we're going to fill this gap
right now? No, I don't.
Okay.
In the summertime, with all the heat that's going on and everything else in the world, and
what about that one? 184.5. Where do we settle cheese today? 190, right on the number. I mean, 190.
Well, that's so. If you go back to August and September, which was a lot of resistance up there, has now, technically today become support.
Sure. So what is that? That low is 188.
So not tomorrow because markets are closed tomorrow, but Thursday and Friday are going to be a big day for this candle.
For sure. And what's interesting too is you called it an M. I'm not quite sure I'm ready to call it an M just yet. Because to me, I'm just going to disagree. I'm going to respectfully disagree with you and say that it's looking more like a potential pennant.
Ooh, for the pennant formation, what you have drawn there, we would kind of bounce off between a $1.90 and $1.98, kind of filling out that wedge that you have.
Yeah, and pennants are usually, it's the market kind of taking a little bit of a pause before, more volatility, right? And that doesn't mean that just because that's forming that it's bullish or that it's bearish, right? It's just saying that we're getting ready for some sort of volatile move. Why I think that's the case is that you have so it started here, right? Let me pull this bad boy up here. Hold on. And let's widen this thing out. Okay. So you had this candle, this is week ending the 10th, tried to put in a new high here, week ending the 17th, failed to put in a new low, week ending the 31, failed to put in a new high relative to this week on weekend in the 14th, and here we are. So I guess my point is that if this thing, let's say we break this 188, and now we've put in a new low relative to the previous one, right? That's a signal, and then if you go and fill this gap, you could then retrace a significant portion of this move. And so, I mean, depending on where you want to draw this bad boy at, this retracement, 33% retracement, fills this gap, doesn't fill this one. You have to retrace two-thirds of the move to go and fill this gap. I agree. I don't think we do, but a quick breakdown and filling half of that. Let's say we break through this. I mean, that's possible.
Let me ask you this: if we filled out that pennant, wouldn't you be making a bullish flag?
So a bull flag would be kind of more like if the price action was lower, right? Does that make sense? Rather than just trading sideways, it was kind of like slightly lower and
Okay.
then continued on.
If you take we'll call it the pull long
There we go.
term from $1.45 right up to $2, there's the first pull, and now you're making that wedge or the flag portion of it.
Let me get rid of some stuff and show you what I think a bull flag would look like had it popped up. So it's good, it's a good question, right? I mean, because the two, they're not the same.
Right. They can look
Right.
the same, right?
They can look the same, but a bull flag would kind of look more like that, right? Where you're kind of you have this like you have a big trend higher, you have kind of an abbreviated like lower kind of retracement, but in a trend, and it's like a shorter trend,
Gotcha.
and then you break out. That's more of a flag.
Okay.
This I would consider again more of a pennant, just because you don't have that trend. It's sideways, higher. You have this high, failed to put in a new low, failed to put in a new high. Does this fail to put in a new low? If so, you should theoretically go back kind of in this, like, what is this, 195? So it's more of a, like I said, it's more of a prelude to volatility. And
I was going to say, with a pennant, there's no bullish or bearish necessarily. It's just volatility is going to follow once.
It's coming. Yeah, right. It's a prelude, right? So you have, but what's interesting about it is you have this big move up, right? And now, do you continue on? If we had the bull flag taking shape, I'd be a little bit more concerned about another rip higher. This one, though, like I said, I mean, if you fail to make a new high relative to here, and instead go put in a new low relative to this bar right here, that's a sign of weakness. And you got to be kind of, I guess, wondering, do we go try to fill this bad boy up in here? I think the futures market's going to be a really big indicator there.
Right.
Right. I think you're going to be really mindful of, like, how are futures trading? Do they maintain a big premium? Are they not buying into the price action, so to speak?
Gotcha.
Right. Oh, like I said, cheese shaping up to be an interesting one.
Yeah.
And you're starting to get some decent volume that's changing hands. Well, but yeah, this is prelude to volatility here.
We're finally back into the 4 digits of trading in the upfront months.
4 digits, count them, 4. So last thing I'll say, again, futures, you want to be really mindful of what they're doing. Futures are kind of pointing to us being more like in here somewhere. Out forward, do they maintain a big premium? If we see a big break in spot, that's a sign that break is short-lived. We'll see. I don't know. Another big one here too you want to be mindful of over the next couple of weeks, especially with how much volatility we saw in the cash market for June, is how the NASA is going to play out, the NDPSR. Check out Joe Schmidt, bases loaded, to learn a little bit more about that. But there was a lot of, like, we had like a 215 print in the barrel at one point during the time, 212. Yeah. How much of that got in? How much of the break got in? Etc. So that's going to be another one to be mindful of, use that kind of too as your guide to say, like, let's say we do roll over here in the cash and you go and fill this gap. How much of that was getting in when we were down there before?
Right.
Food for thought.
I do appreciate you respectfully disagreeing.
Respectfully disagreeing. So this one came at request, didn't it?
It did. Our good friend Colin.
Good friend Colin.
From Boston.
Give me your best Boston accent. Go.
Little Boston cheese action here. Is that what they sound like? I feel like that's what Colin sounds like.
Whenever I think of that, I think of, I left my khakis in my khakis.
Ah, that's what I should have gone with.
You know what? My khakis in my khakis.
Like my khakis and my khakis.
All right. Anyways, Q3, class 3. What do you want to do here, boss?
Oh, looking at this chart right here, sell it. Yeah,
it doesn't look good.
After that breakout there, nope.
Yeah. We will, so a couple things about this. I'll start with the secondary stuff. We really didn't look at it on the last go around. We sure should take a look this time. So you had an attempt to get back into overbought territory right here, right? So it happened here, tried again, failed to do so. That's a sign of weakness, this failure to get into overbought, right? Conversely, too, what was really interesting is that, what was this, Thursday? Yeah, this was Thursday, because that was Friday. So let's just look how this played out. You had a breakout here to new contract highs. The momentum here climbed into new highs. The second one down here, right? So I'm kind of mousing over it. And then, boop. Hold on a second, Richard. And look what the momentum did in just in that 2-day period. I mean, just look at that. There's 1, 2. 1, 2. I mean, this is a big drop in momentum. But just look at how this played out. I mean, just opened below the previous day's close and then closed below the previous day's low.
Yeah.
Let me say that again. Opened below the previous day's close and closed below the previous day's low. So you and I, we talk about it regularly. If you get a breakout, you wait for the confirmation out of the next candle. How does it open? How does the next bar open? If you're looking at a 1 minute chart, wait for the 1 minute. If you're looking at a weekly, wait for the weekly. The next bar opened terribly. It's terrible.
What I was looking at during that is the highs of the day were almost the same. Not the open, but the highs of those two were kind of the same. And then we just retraced that whole candle within the same time frame.
Correct.
And honestly, haven't stopped.
Let's take it a step further. Same logic. Now that we've broken out of this upward trend, how do we open tomorrow? Thursday. I was close.
Do you open below $20?
Oof, that would be weak.
That would be, to me, I think that would be the indication of weakness because, well, where did we settle this guy here? About 2010? 2010.
This shows 2010. We can get the exact settlement, but I mean, again, to your point, like you get a close below $20. This pack hasn't seen a close below $20 since end of May.
Right.
That's a sign of weakness. So again, want to be mindful. You have this breakout. We just saw a breakout 3 days ago. So we have 3 days in a row this. The question is, do we open lower and solidify this breakout? Get through what has been support a few times. It broke out from $20, popped again. Does it active support again? So I don't know if I want to get overly short after this, until we get the confirmation of the breakout. And then the question is, where do you start to run into support? The first line, I try to draw it here. But it's all this noise, and let's get a price for you guys. About around 19.5, easy math, right? Kind of this where this candle broke out from,
right,
on the 8th. So call it 19.5. We'll see. So on Thursday, not tomorrow because we're closed on Wednesday. Thursday, we'll see how it opens.
Roger that.
What's your bet? What are you thinking?
I think, the way that things have been trading recently, I think we're going to open up at that close. I think we're going to open up at 2010. It's Q3, so it's right up front. The volatility is going to be in these months right here, right? Just like we saw today.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to open up right at 2010 and then kind of dictate what cheese does for us.
I would agree. And what's interesting too is July closed through here, but it also settled 42, 72. It also settled 30 points off the low.
It did.
So the market certainly didn't like trading that 19.5 price initially.
Because I also think what could happen is we have to remind everyone that this Friday we have the milk production report. And what could happen is we might have a slow day Thursday, maybe a little bit of a slow day into Friday. People really want to see what this milk production report looks like. If we start banging out numbers like negative 0.8, negative 1%, I think that's going to have a bigger market, move on the charts than anything at this point, don't you?
I would agree. Milk production seems to be front and center on people, at least conversations I have, right? Next up, we want to make sure, does this bad boy open lower? That's a confirmation of this breakout. Next stop would be 19.5. Look out. So good request. Appreciate it, Colin.
Boston, Colin.
Boston. Last but not least,
cool.
This came at your request, didn't it?
My request. Let me ask you this. Okay. So looking at this chart, we retraced half of what we lost yesterday. Pretty big downtick day, right? We're all in agreement yesterday. 22 lower, 23 lower. If you go back to 4/30 of 2024.
4/30, 2024.
To your right there. It's kind of eerie similar to what we had on that very day. Very similar. What do you think is going to happen with the open up on Thursday for beans?
Look at this open the next day. It seems like 11.5 is a number the market does not like to be. It seems to not like to sit still at that price, right? It doesn't even want to go back there here to your point on early May. That said, I don't understand this as well, the relationship between September and August, but SEP the next month out took that 11.5 number and said, I don't think so. We're going to 11.25. So now those are two separate months. I get it. But to me, I just look at that and I say, I want to be a little bit cautious to say that we're just going to rip higher from here because the next month out is saying that's not the case, not forward. So that said, just like here, how does this bad boy open the next day? Because I would kind of, I guess, the first thought that came to my mind when I saw this is what if you had like an itsy bitsy little red candle like this guy tomorrow, Thursday?
Right.
This guy right there. That would be a sign of weakness.
It would be. And I think tell me if I'm wrong. I think you can be talking about August specifically. You can be long on the open, and you know you're going to be wrong if we start trading below 1140, right? The contract lows from before.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a clear. At the very least, if you're looking to get long, you have a nice, healthy indication of where you're wrong.
Yes.
Right. If that's your bias and that's what you want to be doing, kudos. You start talking about 1140 type trade. Now you're starting to bang into new, like especially from a settlement perspective too. Now you're starting to bang into new lows. That's a sign of weakness. I just caution you from the long side, at least, just because of what September's telling us.
Mm-hmm.
That price about that price. Now that said, Seth could just rip your face off. It could be what do you call it, V bottom there. I don't know, but I think at the very least you got to be really careful. And if you did open higher and then started trading above today's high, which is 11.59 3/4, you start trading 11.60. You could then you start to run the risk of a candle like this. So you kind of have a little bit of optionality there, right? Like I don't think I'd be buying it until you cleared today's high. And I think if you wanted to not wait for that, you could at least know that you're wrong if you started to trade below that, the prices we just looked at.
The 1140.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When I look at this, like I said, the first thing that popped in my mind was an itsy bitsy little candle like this before you get a wicked one like this.
Yeah.
To the downside. That's what I'd be kind of like, ooh, like this. Ooh.
Yeah.
But it's like those goats that like, they're getting super close and then they have to back off. You know what I'm talking about?
Unfortunately, I do.
Unfortunately, you do.
Unfortunately, I do.
I could see you being like a really good zookeeper or something like that.
Why would I be a zookeeper?
I don't know. I mean, you hate pets, so like maybe you want
I like how you let me go from buying pets and having them at my house to being a full blown zookeeper at the zoo.
I don't know. Just embrace it.
One day I'm an astronaut. By the way, don't forget to like and subscribe the channel here, everybody. We're still trying to get to 10,000 likes.
I could see you in space.
It's a good pep talk for a Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday afternoon,
right? Isn't it? I think so. What if you like raised a lion from like a cub?
Have you seen the Tiger King?
Yeah, I have.
Who hasn't seen it? That could be me.
That could be you, but just with lions and like
tigers and
not going to prison in the end. But
right.
Spoiler.
Right. Yes. If you haven't seen it, spoiler
alert. I don't know. I know you're still working on Game of Thrones season 1, episode 1, so no spoilers there.
I like it. All right. Well, Andy, appreciate your insight today on Tech Talk.
Thanks for your insight, by the way.
We're getting good at this. We're getting really good at this. We're flowing really well, moving really well. Well, everyone, appreciate you tuning in, watching. If you would not mind, please like, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and tell all your friends and neighbors about Tech Talk. We are still trying to get to 10,000 subscribers.
Tell your zookeeper. Tell your local zookeeper.
That's right. Tell everyone. Tell the mailman. Tell them all. 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. D's 30th is our goal. I know we. Do
you have a zoo by you, by the way?
I have to check into it. I have no idea.
Please come prepared to discuss next time, because I think we're onto something here. There's no zoo by you.
Oh, thanks for tuning in, everybody. See you next time.
Bye.